jungle feeling in the middle of Europe. Here, animal species that are endangered in the wild find shelter. Zoos provide a home to many exotic animals. Though animal parks can't replace nature, they are breaking new ground to make their inhabitants feel at home. But how do zoos make sure the animals aren't bored and that they stay healthy? In Germany, modern zoos are striking out in new directions to provide their fosterlings with a species-appropriate future. Europe's largest land-based predator, the polar bear, is naturally a tenacious long-distance runner and swimmer. How can an animal like this feel comfortable in a zoo? The white giant needs a lot of room to move around. Polar bears have to be able to dive underwater for minutes at a time to cool off. These predators rarely have as much room in their enclosures as they do in the Gelsenkirchen Zoo. The powerful beasts are loners who only get together briefly with their fellow bears for mating. These two are mother and daughter. It's not easy to raise polar bear cubs to adulthood. Many die young in zoos, just like they do in nature. But this one has survived the critical period. The father must stay in the enclosure next door. They can only smell him. Like in the Arctic, males give their partners the cold shoulder as soon as the mating is over. The mother bear raises her daughter by herself. She nurses her little one for more than 2 years. Zoos must limit breeding. Most of them lack space, and only a few young bears can be sent off to other zoos. The animals are in danger of not getting enough exercise in their enclosures. But modern zoos have a remedy for this. New things to try out. Polar bears are curious, and their caretakers use this curiosity to keep them on their toes. Anything that's new has to be explored. In her very own way, she treats the surfboard like an ice floe. She tries to break the ice so she can get to the tasty seals below. But the board won't be defeated. The result? The bear has trained her muscles, practiced hunting behavior, and worked off stress. Healthy polar bears in zoos guarantee the survival of a species that is losing its habitat due to global warming. Though no enclosure can provide the expanse of the Arctic, zoos can adjust their bears' homes according to their needs. And more zoos are trying to replicate their animals' habitats so they feel comfortable. They are meant to live according to their instincts, and the visitors are meant to feel like they're on safari. Like in the African savanna, no bars are blocking the view. Zoos today can do much more than just keep animals in cages. For that, they mostly need a lot of room. In the midst of the Ruhr Valley, Germany's largest industrial region, a herd of rare Rothschild's giraffes stalks across an area that is half the size of a football pitch. The animals can hardly wait to get their breakfast. Nobody wants to miss anything. Giraffes love greens, but there are no trees in the enclosure because their branches would soon be eaten bare. As a substitute, caretakers hang fresh, bite-sized branches at head level. One giraffe needs 30 kilos of leaves per day. The giants spend most of their time eating. The rest of the time they stand around and digest. And as a diversion, they practice tongue acrobatics. These giraffes are not alone. They live with various species of antelopes, almost like in the wild. They see, smell, and hear each other, which keeps their senses alert. And there's more. A mobile made of plastic bottles? That raises the giraffe's curiosity. There are delicious grain pellets inside, but they're hard to get to. The surprise menu attracts more and more eager gourmands. How to get to the food? Luckily, their tongues are nearly half a meter long and very maneuverable. Soon, all the long necks know how to do it. This is how one keeps a group of giraffes constantly occupied. Whereas giraffes tend to be rather phlegmatic, other species are practically unstoppable. The New Zealand mountain parrot supposedly calls out its own name. Kia. Its claws and beak are its tools. Because of their insatiable curiosity, the odd birds are unpopular in their native country, New Zealand, and have become rare. In the zoo, nobody puts a stop to their games. Here, the devious crackers use their weapons to look everywhere for hidden food. The net of their aviary is particularly stable to make it beak-proof. When they've finished eating, they investigate everything. Hey, stop! Even our camera. Keas have naturally inquiring minds. They need a constant stream of new things so they don't get bored. As long as the caretakers are creative, the serial offenders leave the aviary nets alone. In New Zealand, people set up playgrounds just for them, so they don't mess about and cause trouble elsewhere. This pair of thieves lives in the zoo in Bochum, and they are regular eggheads, and they like to tinker. Just a couple of wing flaps from the aviary, there is a small aquarium. It houses an equally curious inhabitant, behind glass. This is Torben, a porcupine fish with a striking head. Other fish leave Torben cold. He's more interested in people and their toys. It almost seems like he's smiling. But he's really an imposter. A poisonous little fellow with deadly spikes on his body. He doesn't use them here, though, because he doesn't feel threatened. On the contrary, he knows this visitor well. It's his caretaker, who plays with him and keeps him in a good mood. The diver makes sure Torben's visitors always have a clear view of him. Torben is a loner and rather reserved. The poor fellow loses out at fish feeding time. The others are simply too fast for him. Torben doesn't get any, but he can depend on his friend, the diver. A red disc. And food. Torben doesn't take long to understand. Disc equals food. Practice makes perfect. The caretaker's special treatment ensures that even the loner gets his meal. Torben is an ideal ambassador for his swimming relatives. Who says fish are dumb and boring? This goes to show that a zoo can be a place of amazement. Many smaller cities in Germany also have zoos, usually embedded in green environments, like in Aachen. Not all of them have room for large animals like elephants and giraffes, yet they try to keep smaller species in naturalistic enclosures. This expansive playground belongs to a group of wild things, tufted capuchins from South America. They are always in motion, searching everywhere for treats. Mother Nature even sets the table in the zoo. Nobody needs to keep these monkeys occupied. They come up with crazy ideas all by themselves. The tufted capuchins are never bored. They constantly fight over who is in charge. Occasionally, there are coconuts. They fight over them too. The monkeys are clever. They know they have to open hard objects with force. This way, they can get to the delicious coconut meat and milk. By the way, their smiles are not meant to be friendly. They're a threat. Keep a distance. If they're eating, they want to be left alone to savor their meal. Tufted capuchins are not endangered in the wild. They live in zoos because the public loves their antics and the faces they make. Others win people over with their striking appearance. This Galapagos tortoise has about 120 years under its belt. It is older than the zoo it lives in. This Methuselah was born on the Seychelles off East Africa, when Germany still had an emperor. His Majesty doesn't need much to feel comfortable. It eats and rests. Nothing much else happens in its life. Or does it? This animal is doing some brain jogging, learning that a whistle means training is beginning. The task is to follow the red ball. Mission accomplished. Reward earned. This brain training not only keeps the Colossus fit, the game reinforces its trust in its caretaker. And because the two of them are close, he can notice right away if the animal needs anything. While things are pretty calm at the reptile's place, there is more activity next door. The tireless caretakers are preparing lunch as a kind of gastronomical experience. The food is hidden in zoo-made devices. Just because these animals live in a zoo doesn't mean their food is set down right in front of their noses. An entire family of hungry western lowland gorillas. Former fire hoses are not only good as toys, they also serve as hiding places for food. In the Krefeld Zoo, animal lovers keep coming up with new things for their favorites to train their bodies and minds. The clever animals use tools to get to the treats. The poke box serves as a game of skill. The zoos are constantly developing. The enclosures are being designed more and more elaborately, based on scientific insights. This is especially true for the great apes. Though many animal rights activists think keeping them is wrong, the zoos mean to treat them especially well. The days when large zoos simply placed their charges on display are long gone. Today, the focus is on the animals' comfort and on providing them with entertainment. Sometimes, one single building is all that's needed to contain an entire zoo. The diversity of a bizarre underwater world can be found in the belly of this ark in Düsseldorf. Visitors dive into the habitat of coral and anemones while keeping their feet dry. The octopus is like a being from another planet. It is a cephalopod, related to snails and mussels. With 8 tentacles and suction cups, the octopus is a very skillful hunter. This female has no mate because the zoo wants her to live a long life. Octopuses die shortly after mating. Thus, she remains on her own and must be kept busy. A treat is hidden in this jar. Octopuses are curious and clever. Their brains are as capable as those of rats. And since it doesn't have a skeleton or a shell, such a mollusk is extremely nimble. The octopus has got the hang of it in just a few minutes. She eats the mussel from the jar under her mantle. Octopuses don't live much longer than 2 years. Following this one, the next experimenter will arrive, straight from the ocean. And instead of ending up grilled on a plate, it will astonish visitors. Many German zoos are more than 100 years old. They must carefully modernize while in operation. In the large city of Cologne, a number of animals were given away so that others have more room. The oasis in the middle of the metropolis on the Rhine sets priorities so it can breed rare species. A good example for the ways in which animal keeping has improved over time are these beloved pachyderms. Big mouth, short legs, a meat mountain of well over a ton, and a chubby cherub on top of that. It's the first hippopotamus baby in years. The little one is an attraction. But its wild cousins are not so popular. Since their habitat is shrinking, conflicts arise with humans. The zoo uses these happy hippos to raise donations for protected areas in southern Africa. The giants are ambassadors for their free-range relatives. There hasn't been a hippo youngster in Cologne for a long time, but not because things didn't work out. They weren't meant to. In the zoo's oldest building, the hippos didn't have much room. The pools were small and crumbling. This was no place for offspring. The hippo ladies were given contraceptive pills as big as dinner rolls. The animals finally moved out of the aging building in 2010. Their new home provides them and a younger generation with much more room. For the first time, a baby hippo is entering the sacred hall of the glass building known as the Hippodome. The little one has an entire pool to himself. Today he is headed for his first swimming experience, accompanied by his mother. Baptism in the swimming pool. Lukewarm as an African lake. The little bull must regularly come up for air. The little boulder of joy doesn't need to learn how to swim. Hippos simply walk underwater. The young man meets his father for the first time. He lets the cheeky boy play until he tires of it. The mother nurses the little one underwater. That means he must plug his nose while he's suckling, then take a breath, and so on. Right next door, at the heart of the Cologne Zoo, live more pachyderms. No other animal species here has so much room. An entire herd of Asian elephants cavorts around the 2-hectare enclosure. They come from various animal parks in Europe and Asia and have grown into a big family. 16 grey giants. It's starting to get crowded in the zoo savannah. What now? Three animals are embarking on a journey. Caretakers control the gates in the inner enclosure electronically, making sure that the right pachyderms stay together. Elephants are family animals. They need one another. For this reason, the zoo is sending an experienced breeding cow on tour together with her daughter and grandson. Zoos know the family trees and exchange their animals. That way, they avoid inbreeding and ensure healthy descendants. This fright is headed for Denmark and the Copenhagen Zoo. With those three gone, Cologne once again has room for new family members. And one is to arrive soon. An elephant birth. The experienced aunts and sisters push the newborn into a safe corner and form a protective ring. The babyphant is born after 22 months of pregnancy, and the herd greets her appropriately. The little girl dares go out into the fresh air under the protection of her bodyguards. Every week, the little one gains 2 kilos. Her mother will nurse her for up to 2 years, and they will stay together until then. Solid food isn't her thing yet. Soft sand is imported regularly. It's an ideal playground. She has to learn how to organize the little trunk and legs without hurting herself. The little one is already the 12th elephant to be born in this herd. And the spacious enclosure has only existed for 15 years. Cologne's Elephant Park has become a model for elephant keeping worldwide. Many zoos incorporate architecture and old tree growth into their animal enclosures. This attracts visitors. Zoos are popular cultural institutions, and for city dwellers, often their last window on the wilderness. Because of its old tree growth, the animal park in Wuppertal calls itself the Green Zoo. There have been many modifications here over the last 2 decades to create naturalistic enclosures for the animals. The showpiece of the zoo is an enclosure that is not immediately recognized as one. The lion savanna. The king of beasts has a giant playing field here. It's unique in Europe. The noble cat does not live alone. Lions love society. 3 brothers and a female, but no offspring. All of these predatory cats are over 15 years old, which means they're of retirement age. Their childbearing years are behind them. Everyone here has only one thing on their mind: food. Whereas wild prides have to run for kilometers to catch their prey, these animals don't need to hunt. Their meals are served. Still, a law of nature prevails in the lion retirement home. First the gentleman, then the lady. Room service for the seniors. In the wild, female lions are in charge of meals. Here she doesn't have to do anything but wait until it's her turn. Gender equality? This idea hasn't taken hold yet in the beast's royal dynasty. The female may only eat when the pasha has had his fill. Because their lives are stress-free and they have good medicine and enough food, the old gentleman and the lady in the zoo can live much longer than their cousins in Africa. The animal park grants its lions dignified twilight years. Zoos are not always all about offspring. The aviary next door belongs to much more playful creatures: bonobos. For a long time, people considered them chimpanzees, to which they are closely related. But they are their own species. Genetic studies have shown that of all the great apes, they are most like us zoo visitors. Do you see the resemblance? Though bonobos live in social groups, one of these is an outsider, Billy. His mother rejected him and he was nursed back to health by caretakers in another zoo. He came to Wuppertal so he could find a mate, but instead of finding love, he was beaten and bitten. Since he had no one to protect him when his mother refused to do so, he is at the bottom of the hierarchy, and he must always expect to be bullied by his own kind. Billy's fate made headlines. Animal rights activists demonstrated angrily, demanding he be moved to an animal sanctuary. But bonobos also bite each other in the wild, as behavioral scientists know. This is how battles for dominance are fought. Therefore, despite all the protests, the zoo tries to integrate the ape into the group. It hasn't given up hope. And Billy really does find friends. Recently, a few fellow lodgers have approached him, groomed his fur, licked his wounds, and even protected him from attacks. If things continue going so well, one day he will reproduce and bring fresh blood into the group, just like the zoologist had planned and hoped. Maybe there will be a happy ending to this monkey business after all. A very special animal species is rarely seen in German zoos. Bottlenose dolphins. They are among the coastal dwellers of this species that live in small groups and prefer shallow waters. But keeping dolphins in zoos is controversial. Animal rights activists claim their basins are too small and that species-appropriate accommodation is impossible. In the Duisburg Zoo, artificial lagoons are meant to give the dolphins a choice of where they want to swim and with whom. Many people who study the marine mammals have indicated that the animals in the dolphinarium behave like wild bottlenose dolphins. Two of the animals that were caught in the wild still live here and are now over 40 years old. All the other dolphins were born here. The youngest member of the family is a small female. She doesn't leave her mother's side and swims in her wake even when she's asleep. The mother watches over her little one to make sure she surfaces to breathe. The rearing phase is difficult because dolphins are born without an immune system. Newborns get antibodies to defend them from infections only through the mother's milk until their own immune systems are developed. The two of them remain by themselves at first, so no one disturbs them. But after a few weeks, the little one is introduced to the family. She still just watches while the others are in training. They are practicing for the show. This strengthens their muscles and keeps their brains active. Due to their training, the bottlenose dolphins can be touched. This way, their caretaker can examine them and treat them if necessary, playfully and without any stress. The first dolphins came to Duisburg more than 50 years ago. Researchers have learned a lot about the animals since then. Now the zoo understands more about what the marine mammals need. Today, they survive much longer in the dolphinarium than they did at first, and they regularly have babies. Though dolphins are no longer caught in nature to perform tricks in Duisburg, many people are still opposed to keeping dolphins in zoos. For this little one, though, this is her home. This bloke also lives here. A male koala, on the way from his sleeping place to work. His job? Displaying himself. His workplace? Tree limbs. Only a few zoos dare to keep these fellows. The furry beasts with the prominent noses are sensitive souls, subject to stress and illnesses. Koalas are real gourmets and only like certain kinds of eucalyptus. And then, only the fresh, young, tender leaf shoots, if you please. They eat an entire kilo of them every day. This is what makes it so difficult to keep them. The zoo cultivates its own eucalyptus trees just for them. He doesn't have much to do but eat. His job is to look good, like a living teddy bear. Working as a model is tiring. Since the greens contain poisonous substances, the koala has to digest quite a bit and cannot be disturbed while he's working. In the covered domicile next door, his partner doesn't have as much peace and quiet. Thanks to him, she is not alone. The little one, who is growing in his mother's pouch, is 5 months old. When he was born, he was just as big as a gummy bear. His father has nothing more to do with him. A koala lady only allows a gentleman to approach her briefly. If he tried to otherwise, the cuddly creature would get prickly fast. More than 30 koalas have already been born in Duisburg and were transferred to other zoos to start families there. In Australia, koalas are threatened by the deforestation of their habitat. This means that every young animal in the zoo provides hope. As the koala child gets older, this mama's boy becomes bolder. he dares to take little journeys through the adventure course. The fun comes with risks. If the animals grow up healthy and fit, they can enjoy living in zoos, have adventures and nurture offspring. Zoos are no substitution for nature, but they can help save endangered species. And they can inspire people to do more to protect their animals' wild relatives.